Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN-FM, where each week is a soulful journey into love, oneness, and the human spirit. I'm Lisa LaRose, and I'm so delighted you're joining us for this exploration into the depths of connection and self-discovery. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Michael J. Russ. It's truly a magical space that we create each week. I want to say welcome, Michael. It is always a delight, and I always have a big smile on my face when you join me.
We both do. We both do. It's an amazing hour that we get to pontificate and talk about all kinds of concepts that with little treasures that can help people move forward. I love it. I love to share and in our own lives, things that are going on within us that we can share and expose and help people understand that, hey, we're human just like you. We're in this journey just like everybody else.
We truly are human. Yeah, and we have challenges that come up and little obstacles. I had a speed bump over the weekend. One of my dogs ended up in the emergency vet, and I was there for 9 hours. And I just want to say thank you to all of the wonderful staff at Veg because they put my little one back on track, and it was a wonderful and interesting experience. Not one that I want to repeat anytime soon, but if I had to, I would definitely.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah, but my little one is okay. It's life's little speed bumps that sometimes come up that make life more interesting, and I think it's all in how we perceive things. And Michael and I, we do this show completely unscripted, and oftentimes I'll throw out an idea for him, and he'll throw out an idea for me, and then we just never know what shows up. And many years ago, we both had the pleasure of working with Glenn Brooks, who was the founder of the Vibrant Living Network. And I don't know about you, Michael, but if you ever had the opportunity to have a gentleman named Meir Schneider on the show with you when you were on with Glenn, did you by any chance have an opportunity to connect with Meir?
Meir Schneider. It is possible. It was over a decade ago, so I can't tell you who we had on every show. But if you give me a little more information about him, who he is and what he did, I can tell you whether that was the case. So
well, I thought we were talking earlier today, and I think that there's a reason Meir came to my mind because his journey is totally related to our topic, believe it or not. Meir Schneider was born blind to deaf parents. He had these congenital cataracts. He had many, many surgeries on the lenses of his eyes that left him with massive scar tissue. So he was declared permanently legally blind. He learned Braille. He had a seeing eye dog. And he actually has a wonderful sense of humor. I remember him telling me a story about his parents letting him play in the street. He was blind, and they couldn't hear, but he said that it helped him sharpen his senses.
They really like that.
So around his 17th birthday, he decided that he wanted to be able to see. And he was so determined he was going to do whatever it took to be able to achieve his goal. So he found something called the Bates method, which are eye exercises, and he worked with them, but he also evolved them into something that he felt would work for him. And despite all the opposition, everything that the doctors told him, all the skepticism from everyone around him, he knew that he could heal his eyes, and he was able to do it. Within 6 months of starting those eye exercises, he was able to start recognizing visual objects for the first time in his entire life. And it was about 18 months later that he could read print without his glasses. He could just hold a paper up in front of him, and he was able to recognize it, which is really pretty incredible. And today, although he doesn't have 20/20 vision, he was able to get a California driver's license. And he said that throughout his life, his vision continued to improve. So he had all this information of what he did, and he decided that he was going to put it to good use, and he went on to found the School for Self-Healing, where he took what he learned, how to see by breathing, how to blink, and how to relax, and was able to take that and help other people. So what I find so fascinating is that he was able to take the same method that he used for healing his eyes and applied it to healing the back. So at the School for Self-Healing, there's lots of different things that he teaches. He gifted me with a wonderfully beautiful copy of his book, Awakening to Self-Healing, which is all about teaching how to bring the power of movement into every part of your life. It has over 600 exercises, and it's just an incredible wealth of information. And having an opportunity to connect with Meir was so absolutely amazing because it got me thinking in a totally different way. But our topic made me think about him, and it made me contemplate the idea that there are certain things we choose to see and certain things that we don't. And how can we go beyond that? How can we learn to see beyond those limits? And how can we make different choices? For Meir, he was determined that he wanted to be able to see. So he did whatever it took to gain his vision. And he created a reality for himself where that existed, despite what physicians said, despite what everybody else said, that he was the master of his own destiny, and he was going to choose his life experience. It reminded me of another pioneer in the field of vision, and that's Dr. Jacob Liberman. I read his book, Luminous Life, several years ago. Dr. Liberman was originally trained as an optometrist, and in 1976 he had a miraculous healing of his own eyesight, which gave him a completely different understanding, and he went on to write a book called Take Off Your Glasses and See. And one of the things that I so appreciated about Dr. Liberman is he said that I've come to realize that what catches our eyes is actually looking for us and guiding our life's journey. So when we think about that, perhaps it's one small step, one simple shift in our perception or in a daily habit, then begin to open us up in new ways of seeing the world. If we sort of pause and intentionally notice what catches our own eye in nature or in a book or in a conversation, we can start finding the messages that are looking for us. And I just thought that that would maybe be a fun place to kick this off, because Michael and I both had the opportunity to listen to a Bashar video, which always inspires us and leaves us with a place to explore. So I'll let you, Michael, kick this off because you took some wonderful notes.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, this video was pretty awesome. We've heard Bashar before, and we've heard different versions of this. And what I loved about this short version, and I know it's only about 6.5 minutes, is he's speaking live at a conference to some people, and he's laying it out in the simplest possible terms. And it's interesting because we all get excited about things. We all get excited. There's something we're excited about, even now. And what Bashar is saying is that if you always act on your highest passion with zero expectation for the outcome, or what the outcome should be, then you will put yourself in the queue of manifestation. To put it that way, that's the highest form of manifestation. And this is really where we're going. And I talked to Lisa, before the show, talking about how goal setting and all that. When I grew up, when we grew up, there was you had to think of a goal, and then you had to write down all the various steps that you needed to accomplish to achieve the goal, and hopefully you would do each one of those steps, and you would actually reach the goal. And what Bashar is actually talking about here is that's bunk. That's no longer the process. Then we have the process, the 3D process years ago. But what he calls that is mind overload. When you get a headache from thinking about all the things, focusing on the how things are going to get done, right? And so this is all the process, ultimately, of getting to where, experiencing your grandest vision of whatever it may be that you have that excites you. Right? And the first rule, of course, being that you must constantly be involved in something that is extremely exciting to you and something that you're passionate about. And that you keep that going as long as the excitement and the passion exists in that, and then you shift to something else. It's a state of energy is really what it turns out to be more than anything else. It's a state of energy. It's a state of frequency. And your goal is to maintain that state of frequency in every possible way in your entire life. So when you get together with your significant other, if you have one, manifesting, creating a high level of excitement, doing things that excite you. And, of course, they're doing things that excite them, whether it's at work, doing something that excites you, that you're passionate about, your livelihood. And if you've got children, engaging in things with them that are exciting for you and that you're extremely passionate about. So, like, it's a round-robin thing. In every aspect of your life, in sports or whatever it is you're doing, be excited about it and be passionate about it. Now, the idea, which is so interesting, is that you want to maintain this high state of energy, this high state of excitement and passion, because that feeds the manifestational process. And that you have a physical mind and a non-physical mind, and the idea behind it is we all know we have a physical mind, but most people don't really realize we have a non-physical mind, a higher self, which you really do. And he's always saying something very simple. The mind conceives, and the higher self figures out how it happens. And whatever it is that the mind conceives, it's an infinitesimal possibility. In other words, an idea of what's possible. It's just an infinitesimal idea of what's possible. Our minds cannot conceive what is fully possible for us in this life, because we're kind of constricted by our experiential wisdom, what we know, what we've seen, right? It's that 4-minute mile situation. Nobody knows, nobody's done it, so we don't believe it can be done. And until somebody does it, nobody's going to think it's possible. And so your higher self can produce, with this high frequency, this high level of excitement and passion for whatever you've got going on, it can actually bring that to fruition for you. And you have to literally believe it. So his point is simply, let your mind divinely conceive whatever it is that you have in mind, but then you have to forget it. You have to forget any possible outcome, right? In other words, don't attach yourself to something that some aspect of what it could be. Oh, I want to get a new car and I'm going to get a Ferrari. No, you don't say exactly what it is, but you do participate. Take that excitement and that energy from the feeling that you had when you said, I want a Ferrari. Whatever feeling that conjured up, the level of excitement and passion it created within you, your goal is to maintain that in every area of your life you possibly can. It's the feeling you want. It's not the thing. And then you allow space. In doing so, you turn it over to your higher self, your higher mind, and let them figure out how it happens. And generally, that's why in the past we used to say, whatever you can conceive and turn over, the spirit will give you 10 times better or 100 times better than what you think. If you just don't say what it is, you'll always end up getting better than what you want. Whatever you can conceive, you'll always get better, right? But he kind of lays it out in the nuts and bolts in a way that is really, really cool, because it's the state of the thing that was different about this is that he's talking about how you felt when you conceived the idea of what you wanted, when you visualized what you wanted. That state of mind, and that just opens the door to a whole plethora of different of scenarios and what is actually possible for you. Your job as a human being is not to concern yourself with how. It's to conceive divinely or otherwise, and it's to create the excitement and the passion behind whatever it is that you do, is to be excited and passionate about it, and let that energy then go into your higher self and create the best version of whatever your vision is. That's simple. Very, very simple. And I don't want to take it easy, take it any more complicated than that, because it isn't.
And one of the things that he said, Michael, that I really loved was he said that the physical mind was not designed to handle all of these tasks that we give it. And that's why we have so many headaches and we're tired at the end of the day, because we don't give it over to the higher mind. We expect the physical mind to handle it. And I think that's what made me think about Meir Schneider, because in healing your eyesight, which is not something, when I tell people the story, there's so much disbelief in it. And one of the lectures that I was doing one time, I started to bring him up and talk about the possibility. And I could see everybody in my lecture were kind of like, yeah, right, whatever. And then this woman puts up her hand and she's like, hey, she said, I went and I studied with him and I healed my eyesight. And I was like, really? Isn't that wonderful? I said, would you mind sharing a little bit about the process? And she went in to explain what went on. And one of the stories when I had him on the air that really, really spoke to me, there was a woman that had lost her eyesight and she was from Japan. So there was a big language barrier. And she was an elderly woman and her daughter had brought her over, and she had never seen the water. He's out in San Francisco area, and she said, I want to take your mother so she can see the water. And the daughter's like, you know what? She's blind. She's not going to be able to see the water. And he took her there, and he said, just relax, breathe in, and allow yourself to see what's on the water. And all of a sudden, these boats came into view. And she's like, oh, my goodness, I can see the boats. But it was allowing just to take that moment, to take that deep breath. And I think that's exactly what Bashar is saying, that we don't have to know how it's going to happen. We just kind of give it over to our higher mind and allow
our job.
that to unfold. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have to visualize it. And then be excited about it. And what the outcome of this woman being able to see those boats, that was her highest excitement at that moment. She wanted to regain her vision, and she was able to. I just loved it.
Fabulous story. It's a fabulous story, and it also there's also a surrender that is woven into that, right? The surrendering to the fact that it's possible, the idea that it's possible, instead of the doubt that it may not happen. The concern or fear that it may not happen, which can get in the way and ruin things, ruin the excitement. But something interesting that Bashar was talking about, in verbatim, remain in the state of how your visualization, the energy of the visualization makes you feel. Remain in that state. Do whatever is possible to remain in that state. And it's a fun state to be in, quite frankly. It's not work. We're not talking about work here. We're talking about making choices that excite you, that impassion you. And that's really, and I don't think, we're not really taught to do that. We're not really taught to make choices that excite us or that make us feel passionate about it. That's not the way, that's not what we're taught from kids. You're taught that, you do this, you do that, you get here, you get there. If you do this, if you create this, that will happen. And that whole model just gets thrown out the window. That's what Bashar is doing, is throwing it out the window. You got to hand the higher state of energy that you create that is created through your visualization of whatever it is you desire. You have to hand that over to your higher self. You have to give it up. Give it up. Give up any aspect of it and all aspects of it. Just give it up. And your job is to simply have fun, be excited, and be passionate. That's your job, right? So you've planted the seed. And it's almost like watering the seed with positive energy, with excitement and joy and passion, right? That's the beauty of this that I really, really love, is that you are watering the seed of your visualization. You've turned your visualization over, the how and the inner workings of it to your higher self, and now your job is simply to water it.
That's great. And I love that, Michael.
Energy, excitement, passion. Yeah.
It speaks to the idea of allowing. We follow our highest excitement. We allow the universe to work with us rather than fighting against it.
Right.
If you we've talked about it in the past about you're finding your true north. So you have your own personal compass, and what's right always feels good. And I would say not just what's right, it's whatever gives you that zing. Whatever. There's a guy I follow online. He's a geophysicist, and he's calling it boom shakalaka. He just got these boom shakalaka T-shirts printed. But when he says that, it's like I don't know. He's probably in his 30s, early 40s. But every time he says that way, he gets so excited about speaking about these geophysical things that are going on in the earth, and it's maybe
That's
not
fantastic.
an exciting topic, but he gets very, very excited in the moment, and it entices the audience. It gets me going back and listening to him. I really enjoy listening to him. I think that when we sort of find that joy within everything that we do, and as you said, we become a conscious gardener of our own energy, and that's how we practice it. So if you have one small thing that you can do that feels like your highest excitement in the day, do that. Maybe it's a favorite song. I mean, how many times have you gotten in the car and when your favorite song comes on next to you, turn it up, you're singing along, and you have a convertible, you're driving down the highway, and you're just so enjoying that. And it may only be for 5 minutes, but it carries you into the rest of your day because that's part of your highest excitement.
There's a part of this that speaks to what prevents people from experiencing their highest state of excitement and passion. And I love that how he weaves this in a way that makes sense with the whole thing. And it's really about how we perceive reality. And it's glorious in its simplicity that we create, and I've said this in many other ways as well, and I know you have too, that we are the ones who determine the meaning of our reality. And he's talking about how we respond to things, because I've always been a proponent of the fact that the reason why you're not happy, excited, and passionate is because you've allowed something else to get in the way. And what's gotten in the way is a perception that you have about something you experienced, something you saw, something somebody told you, okay? Something that has happened in your experience of reality. And reality is a mirror. What's happening in your world is a mirror of how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what frequencies you're resonating. And it's so beautiful because he's laying it out that your reality has no meaning other than the meaning that you give it. That's it. You have been designed as a human being to give whatever you experience the meaning it has. And when you start thinking about that for a second, you just think on that, and maybe you look back over the day and you think, wow, I had complete 100% absolute choice as to how I preferred to see each one of these situations, to perceive them. The meaning that I gave to this thing made me feel this way. The meaning I gave to that thing made me feel absolutely amazing. And we have that choice. There is no meaning to anything other than what we give it. And when we start understanding that we are the ones who determine whether something has duality, positive or negative, right? It can be positive for us or negative based on our experiential wisdom, but based on what we know up to this point. I've always said it's wonderful to see these shows. Oh my gosh, what was the one that had Gina Davis in it? And way back when there was a movie where 3 aliens landed their spacecraft in her pool, and I forgot the name of the movie. It'll come to me. Okay, no, it was absolutely beautiful. It's not the only movie that's ever been made about an alien coming to Earth and engaging with an Earthling, but really the alien has no idea about anything. And so these 3 aliens land in her pool, and each one of them has a different personality, right? But they're all like curious, fun, and glorious. They don't know what love is. They don't know what hate is. They don't know any of these things that we perceive. Have no idea, no clue. And Gina Davis meets with them, and she wants to introduce them to the world, and they have no idea. That she dresses them up like, they're in human form, by the way, so let's just go with that. They look like college students. And so she dresses them up in fashion of the day, gets them out of their silver spacesuits and into fashion, and they don't even know why they're wearing what they're wearing. So they keep playing with things, having fun, they're wrapping scarves around their heads and around their waists and around their legs. They don't know where they're supposed to go. I mean, it's just that goofy. But it drives home the point that you could go to another planet and not know anything about what's going on. You're just simply, you're thrust into this environment, and you don't know what perhaps what they perceive as positive, you see as negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a function of what meaning that we give it. And it's beautiful to see that happen.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up, because actually, Michael, when you were speaking about that, it made me think if the movie was actually set nowadays and that she gave them each a cell phone, and they would pick it up.
Exactly.
And depending on if they went on X or if they went on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, all of a sudden they're getting the perceptions. And it's a lot. I think it speaks really volumes to what we consume. What are we exposed to? And oftentimes, a lot of what we see, we forget that some of it is entertainment, and some of it's just so opposite of positive, and we're feeding our grid that. And instead, we need to really filter those things out, because those things shape our perceptions of the world. And I think it's a great metaphor. If we were an alien who came and landed here, what would your perception be? So if you have a constant diet of things that are the opposite of positive, you can have anxiety. And that's where you're being fed that. And whereas if you instead are reaching out and seeking uplifting, educational, inspiring content, that's where we're expanding and elevating that perspective. And I think that that's a lot of what Bashar's message is. You know, when you're choosing to follow your highest excitement, you have to have that field of vision and that awareness of what you're choosing to gather into your soul, into that being. And I know you wrote it down, so I'm going to have you read it if you don't mind, because he said, I don't remember how he worded it, but he said, your lives are meaningless. Your lives are meaningless. It's what you do that gives your life meaning. And I'm paraphrasing it.
Yeah,
and I thought
that
was so brilliant.
Yeah, here, I'll read it for you very quickly. It's not even paraphrased, it's word for word, but nothing in your reality has built-in meaning. Its meaning is what you give it, because life is fundamentally meaningless. You were designed to give it meaning when meaning you want it, the meaning you want it to have. You prefer what you prefer, and this meaning will determine how you experience your life, positive or negative. It has nothing to do with the situation, how a situation looks. It's how you respond to it that determines its effect on you, feelings, thoughts, that sort of thing. It's my, in parentheses there. You know you've changed by how differently you respond. Even if your outer reflection, your outer world, stays the same. So when you know that you're advancing in your own evolution of thinking and response and understanding of that the meaning of your reality is what you make it, when you see the same things you used to see, but you don't respond the same way. Mm-hmm. They no longer make you feel angry or sad or distraught, right? If you understand that you are the one who is creating the meaning, who's determining what meaning your life has for you and what goes on in it, right? As you were just talking about content, what are we consuming? Well, it's interesting because when I consume content, I'm very picky about what I consume, number one, and I know you are too, because we understand that we as human beings are very subjective beings. We can be influenced very easily by what we see. And the people who are bringing that content to us via any source, social media, YouTube, news on national or local news, any of that, the people who are bringing you that information, they know that you're very subjective. Mm-hmm. And they know that if they can press this button or that button, it will make you feel a certain way, which is why it's interesting, because national news is crafted to give you the worst up front to keep you watching. And then the last thing they do is they give you a good story, because they don't want you not wanting to come back. They want you to come back. So they got to give you this heartfelt story at the end, and they tell you it's a piece of good news. It's a heartfelt. Here's our last heartfelt message, right? They know it's what it's going to do. It's designed that way to make you feel good when you leave so that you'll come back again and get the worst of the worst for 20, what is it now? I think it's 22 minutes total. So you'll get 21 minutes of the worst and 1 minute of the best, of the softest, most heartfelt stuff. By the way, while I'm talking to you, I'm going to tell you and our audience that the movie is called Earth Girls Are Easy.
Okay, thank you. I haven't seen that one, but I'll have to put it on my list. Check it out.
Yeah, 1988. 1988.
Wow.
Earth Girls Are Easy. Really, really wonderful, movie, and it's got everybody in it: Jim Carrey, Damon Wayans, Gina Davis, and Jeff Goldblum. A young Jeff Goldblum is one of the aliens.
Wow.
Actually, the aliens, believe it or not, the three aliens.
I don't know that I'm easy, but
but here's the interesting thing. Here's who they chose for the three aliens, right? Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Damon Wayans. They are the three aliens.
That's funny.
3 comics. Well, actually, 2 comics, and of course Jeff was more serious. He's not necessarily a comic, but it's interesting because it just gives you a vision and helps you understand when you don't carry so many, when you aren't influenced by so many thought viruses, what people say is good, what people say is bad, what people say you should fear, what people say you should doubt, what people say you should do this, do that. When you don't harbor those things, those judgments about things, which turn into thought viruses, which turn into behaviors and perceptions, then you have a clean slate. I like to wake up every day. Yeah, that's how I like to wake up every day. I get a clean slate. You can perceive being 9 hours in a vet's office, a vet's hospital, as the worst thing ever, or you can see it as not the worst thing ever. However you choose to perceive it, and it's if you'd told most people, you could tell me you were there, and I would feel for you. I would feel love for you and a love for Snoopy, right? And so other people might immediately dive into the sorrow, the sadness. I'm so sorry to hear that. Just all the worst of the lower frequencies, right? And I know that your loving little creatures made it through because you were operating from higher frequencies.
Yeah, thank you.
Joy
it was interesting.
Love.
I had a couple of people say to me, well, what took them so long? I've never heard of anything so ridiculous. I'm like, I didn't care how long it took at all. I was so grateful to the care and the attention and the kindness. They were so kind. From the minute we walked in, he was seen immediately. I had no wait at all. And within a few minutes, 3 veterinarians had taken a look at him and had already started to administer different therapies and what he needed. And then somebody else came over and, would you like a chair? And I just, so much kindness. And I just kept saying to them over and over again, you're so amazing. You're just so amazing. Thank you. And I was just in such a space of gratitude. But it's how you perceive it. And when you were speaking, Michael, before, what came to my mind, I'm sure this is our guides, was Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. And for anybody that does not know his story, Viktor Frankl was a prisoner of war in a Nazi concentration camp in World War II. And each day he would find different things that were beautiful and had meaning to him. And what he observed with the fellow inmates in that concentration camp, those that survived, all connected with a purpose in their life to feel positive about, and that's what got them through. You never know what situation. I mean, I was not in a concentration camp. I was in an emergency vet. But there were so many positive things, and I got to meet so many nice people and just connect with the other animals and send healing to the other animals that were there. And it was where I was meant to be at that time. And I was grateful to every single person that was there.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful. I say that I see it as a beautiful experience from a couple of different standpoints, and it was mainly what you just said, that you were able to give love and hope and positivity to everyone there and all the other animals that were there, right? You're like a light, a beautiful, brilliant light that comes through the door and shares that light with every being in there, and that lifts all boats, lifts everybody, right? And so we have to. It reminds me of one thing, and that is that, in my view, our mission here, one of our missions here, is to create light, to be light, to shine our light on everything, to become the brightest light possible, elevate ourselves to the brightest light possible, and then share that light with everyone we connect with, every living being, everything, trees, plants, flowers, you name it, animals, the little furry rabbit that I encountered at the barn this morning, a little cottontail. It's just like there's so many cool things that can put a smile on your face. But if you cultivate that light within you, your mission is to share it. And what if that is your mission here? You're thinking it's something completely different, but maybe that's what your mission is. And I've been told that time and time again, that my mission is to connect and share my light with others. And that's a mission I hardly take on. I'm like, yeah, how can I, elevate my light to even a brighter status, through meditation, through my own responses to life, and the saying, don't let anybody dim your light. Well, that comes into it, right? You don't want to let something outside of you dictate how bright your light is. You don't want that to happen. That is, to me, the ultimate responsibility that we have, is to make sure that we maintain the brightest light possible. And that's going to be done by responding to life in a different way, right? It's always the case.
It's so funny, because that's exactly what Dr. Liberman says in his book, Luminous Light, that light is a nutrient, and so is beauty. So when we look at a sunset or flowers on our table or whatever it is, and I take a walk and I'm looking at the leaves and on the trees, and this morning I was looking at thistles, it calms me. That's sort of my meditation. And you take that and it's like sort of telling your body that, hey, the world is a beautiful place to be in. And as you said, Michael, every relationship you have is the opportunity to share that light. And it's a powerful thing to know that you can be supportive, you can spread your joy, you can be aligned with so many different things of your highest excitement, and share that with other people. I mean, it's amazing. Then that's going to be your point of attraction. It is.
It's very true. It's something interesting. You brought up something. It made me think of something about Donna Bell, who was on our show here a couple of episodes ago. He told me yesterday that in terms of meditation, it's the intent that matters, the intention. You meditate anywhere, anytime, if you say to yourself, my intention is to meditate. Isn't that interesting? So you could take a walk in outside for just a minute. You get up out of your chair, go outside the house, and you can say, my intent of going outside the house is to meditate. And it could only be for a minute. You look at a flower in your garden. You look at the trees and how the leaves are blowing. It's all about what your intention is. And so that time, your angels only need a millisecond to connect with you. Only a millisecond. As somebody told me back in the late 80s, early 90s, a woman by the name of Doreen Virtue, who was an angel communicator back at the time.
I love
she
Doreen.
said, yeah, she's fantastic. She said that angels come in on your breath. They come in to you on your breath. And yesterday, Donna Bell said that same thing. They only need
really?
when they connect with you. When they connect with you, said it a little differently. She said when your angels are connecting with you, and they do come into you, they connect with you. They just need that millisecond when you're between breaths, which is why breathing is so important. You go outside and you take some deep breaths, 3 or 4 deep breaths, and what you're doing is you're allowing the angels to connect with you, to give you inspiration, to soothe you, to do whatever is necessary to help you live your highest existence. That's really what it's about. And, so what I was thinking about when you said that is, I've been on this planet 6.5 plus decades. And, things get said to me that I remember. Things get said to me where I remember, and then they come back around later in life, decades later. And there's a reason why they say you have certain experiences, because later in life you may get something that dovetails. It's all a lesson. The 6.5 plus decades, it's all a lesson. We are here reconnecting to who we are as non-physical beings. Really interesting. We're here to experience. Yeah, we're here to bring meaning. We're here, as Bashar said, to bring meaning, our own preferred meaning, to what we experience.
So,
There's
Michael, I just want to say, because when you said that meaning, because you said something to me today, you said you were filling up your rice bowls, and I didn't quite know what that meant. And so as I was thinking to myself, and I was thinking, oh, what a beautiful act, I thought, Michael has these meditation bowls on his altar, and he's placing these grains of rice into these bowls for meditation. This is what I was thinking, right? This is my meaning of your saying. And so I'm like, what a great practice. I thought, maybe I have to, because in the Buddhist practice, they have an offering, they have fruit, and they have all these candles and things like that. And I was like, what a fantastic practice. And I'm like, maybe I should do that. And the appreciation in a grain of rice, right? How small, but how profound that metaphor is. So I will let you explain to the audience what that means to you, because isn't that interesting though? Because that's where my mind went.
I think it comes partly from, I spent 2 years of my youth in Taiwan, and where, obviously Asian people eat a lot of rice. And my mother used to say, what, you want a little rice in your bowl? You want a little rice in your bowl? And I'd say, yes, please. And we weren't talking about food. We were just talking about attention or answering a question or whatever it was. But for me, when I say I get up in the morning,
it could even be love, right?
Yeah, it could be. It's whatever it is. It's whatever you need.
And maybe that's
exactly.
No, that's sweet. That's very sweet.
So when I get up in the morning, I know I got rice to put in bowls. And so my cat has a bowl, my dog has a bowl, my girlfriend has a bowl, the horse at the barn has a bowl. And I go around every morning. You have a bowl. You have a bowl.
Thank you.
You got a bowl. You got a bowl. You got a bowl. Yeah, so basically I go around, and I know when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is take care of my little corgi, who's got his own little bowl. He's laying on the floor, and he doesn't leave the bedroom for any reason until I get up. He's laying on the floor, and maybe if I stay in bed a little too long, he'll get this little high-pitched whine, right? Literally. So it's you're like, if I want to sleep in, that's not really going to happen with a little high-pitched whine going on. He wants his little rice in his bowl. And what he means is, when I get out of bed, I, put on my sweats, and I get down on the floor with him. I lay down on the floor with him, and I massage his neck behind his ears. And he gets very loving, and he licks me all over my neck and my ears and everything, and he wants his little rice in the bowl for however long he determines he needs it, right?
That's
and
great.
I know exactly when it's over. because his little teeth come out, and he gives these little blue bites on my hand and my arms, and he's like, yeah. Okay, I know you're done now. Okay, so his rice is in his bowl, and so I can leave and I can go upstairs and I can give the cat her little rice in the bowl, clean her little pooter box, check her water, give her her food, and then she wants to lay down on the ground, and I rub her belly and massage her head, and then the other part of her rice in the bowl is I meditate, and she meditates on the couch. She comes up on the couch and lays down next to me, and she zones out too, and that's her little rice in the bowl. And I could tell, when I don't give her that little rice in the bowl in the morning, I might feed her, take care of it, but that little bit of extra thing of rice when I sit down and she gets to chill out with me, she'll be looking over the banister at the between the rungs on the banister down at me, and like, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you up here? And I know it. I can look up here and I go, oh God, Fred, I forgot to put a little rice in the bowl for you. I'm going to come up there for about 5 minutes because I got to go somewhere. Like after tomorrow morning, I'm going to make sure I get up early enough to put your rice in your bowl, and you're good. And I cook breakfast, and I go deal with the horse and clean the stall. All this is rice in the bowl. And the bottom line is that I do this out of love. I do this out of joy. I have such a good time with the little corgi boy, and I have such a good time with the cat who has already walked all over me in the middle of the night. Not really. I mean, it's just what she does, right? She's 28 pounds of cat.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a big cat. And so those little feet carry a lot of weight behind them. And so that's what she does. And I don't get upset at her. I know she wants some loving, so I give her some loving in the middle of the night, and then she jumps off the bed and goes and does something else. Cats are nocturnal. That's what they do, right? They run around all day. They sleep all day, run around all night. And so I have fun, and that's what rice in the bowl means. And we all have people who have a bowl, and we got to go put some rice in it. And we just have to make sure that we also put rice in our own bowl. And that's the only thing that I make sure I do. Part of it is the meditation. Part of it is going and playing golf, or going to Tallahassee tomorrow, which I'm going to do. That's putting rice in my bowl. We got to make sure that we're of service to others, but we also have to be of service to ourselves, and remember, and do it all with joy. Do it all with joy and love. It's not a joy a task we have to do, something we must do because it's there. We made choices about getting animals, and we just have to make sure. And our significant other, they have a bowl too,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's fun. You just make it fun. Make it fun. I always make it fun every morning. But that's rice in the bowl.
And there is power in that loving attention. As you are doing those things, there is presence. You're being present. You are pausing in your day and having that wonderful exchange. It's a conscious act, and you're also reconnecting with your source energy. It's sometimes when I'm doing those tasks that may seem repetitive, that's the time that my higher mind, is bringing me downloads of information. And that's my time to reconnect. So even though I am doing seemingly other things, it's sort of like medicine for my nervous system. It's relaxing. I find it peaceful. I don't see it as a chore. I don't see it as anything other than something that I enjoy doing. And it feeds me. It's peaceful. It's very, very peaceful. Yeah. And I think that's sort of, as you're curating that environment, you're cultivating your life force. And I love what Bashar says about those invisible moments, about that time, about the practices that we have. And I think that was one of the things that he said, and again, I don't have it in front of me, but he said something about the invisible and how the quantum, I don't know if he used the quantum field. He said physics, the physics of it. Do you
physics, that's right. He did refer to it as physics. Yeah, it's all physics. The meaning of life.
He said it's simply physics, and he said it's simple. He said it's only simple physics. It's simple. And he said that we're the ones who make it complex. He said creation is not. It's not that. It's just simple. simple. And I think that when we go through those moments of our day, we said if it was more complicated, and I love what he said. He said it would collapse under its own weight.
Its own weight.
To be truly infinite is to allow for all the possibilities at the core essence of creation. I did write that down. Yeah. Yes. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean,
I do.
I agree with you. 110%. Think about acting, the number one thing he always says, act from your highest excitement no matter what. And, people find that, some people I've told that to, they say, oh, sure, what about this? What about that? Well, you're thinking too much, thinking on it too much, thinking about it too much. You're focused on the how. When you ask me that question, you're focused on the how. How am I going to do that? Well, don't focus on the how. Just do it. Just act from your highest excitement. And you can be excited about anything, right? You can, because you're the one who brings meaning to your life, the meaning to what happens around you, what you're exposed to. So you can choose to act from your highest excitement all the time. People, it's amazing how we forget how much power we actually have over how we experience life. We don't have to get upset at that other person because they said something to us. No, we can choose not to. We can choose to act from our highest excitement. We can choose a different path. We can choose to just simply let it go, and we don't know their motivation in the first place. I had told somebody the other day, you have no idea, and you will never conceivably be able to understand why someone says what they say when they do it. When they do say it. You're never going to figure it out. When someone tells you something and you interpret it, you perceive it to be negative, because you've been taught to perceive that that's negative, right? You don't have to take that path. You can choose a different path. You can choose to see it as just something neutral that happened. Just somebody said something. And that thing only has the meaning that you give it, so why are you giving it meaning? Why give it no meaning? And just let it go by. And a lot of times, when we get into arguments with people, if you start thinking about it, it's simply two people just attempting to hold their position. To say, if I give in, I'm a loser, right? And I want to be a winner. And I've been taught that I have to fight for what I believe is right, what I think. I have to fight for my meaning, the meaning I gave it. Well, no, you don't. One of the best things you can do is to not give what other people say or do any kind of negative meaning. It's just something they say. You don't understand the motivation. You never will. So let's just move on. It's how we preserve our light, our energy, right? Our higher frequency. It's how we preserve our excitement and our passion for what we're doing. If we keep letting this little stuff get in the way, sooner or later, all the energy and excitement and passion is gone. Then you what happened, right? But we're conditioned as human beings, as I said many times. We're conditioned to think this is good and this is bad. This is positive, that's negative. To live in that world of judgment, which is in its own right something that dims our light all the time. So
you're so right.
Give up on it.
And we forget.
Give up on it.
I think that we forget that we are infinite, and that part of that infinite beingness. And I love that you said, not to dim your light. Rather than dim your light, why don't you uplift your frequency? And it's that input of what you allow into your field. Right. So it is. It's so, so powerful, and that's why even in this, and I will post a link to the video, because in that short 6-minute video, there was just so much there. And
not only that, it's true. I want to interject that he was also incredibly passionate in his delivery.
He was, absolutely.
He was very passionate. That's the one reason. You can go on now. I'm sorry. I just want to let that slip on by. But he was extremely passionate. Some of the most passionate I have ever heard him. in fact.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, and I think that part of that is, it's, as you mentioned earlier, when you wrote your book, Zero Adversity, not that many people were speaking about sovereignty. Now it has become an impassioned topic because there's no time to waste anymore. We're here, and we all chose to be here, and we are going to get it right. I know we are, and we are going to manifest that heaven on earth, because I think that that's exactly the energies of the people that I connect with. That's what lights them up, that we have this ability within the next 10 years, as both Carol and Donna Bell said. We can create this new world. We have 10 years to do it, and I know that more and more people are gathering in, I guess, their energy. I don't know exactly the word for it, but I know that we're reaching that tipping point where we can reduce the constant diet of negativity so that we can shift it into something that is much more positive.
Well, let's just say this, to bring this into a practical context. For all of the people who are listening here on PR and FM or to our podcast, Connect to Love, it's that you're going to, after you get done listening to this, you're going to go out into the world, and you're going to expose yourself to something, either at the dinner table, or you're going to, at whatever time you're doing it, you're going to go out. It's going to be at work, it's going to be at play, it's going to be peer related. The world is full of drama, and it's full of opinions, and it's full of industries that want us to give them their attention. And if you can just remember one thing more than any other, is that be an observer. Be an observer. And don't instantly give negative meaning to everything. If you feel awesome, you propagate and cultivate, curate within yourself this wonderful light, this wonderful feeling that you have of love for yourself and the world around you. There's a lot going on. And remember that whatever it is that you're listening to or watching or reading, it's up to you to give it the meaning that is in alignment with your highest values, your highest frequencies of love and compassion and empathy and joy and excitement, all of those things. And that's a choice that you were born with that most people just totally take for granted and give away. They let the outer world control how they feel, and that's something we should never do. And and what meaning we give to things based on past experience. Change that diatribe, that dynamic, that paradigm, and your life will change in immense ways, I should say, in ways you could never imagine before. And it can happen in an instant, in the snap of a finger.
Truly. That's beautiful, Michael. I really love that. It's wonderful. I love the idea of what you choose to see as what you give life to. It is something that I would say that if what you want to give life to, let that be, as Bashar says, your highest excitement. So for me, I choose to see my life with love. I know you do. I choose to focus on what nourishes my spirit. I know that you do. That's why we have so much fun doing this show, because each episode we open our eyes to more beauty, more truth, more presence, and more oneness and more connection. And it's just such a delight each and every week. I never know where the conversation is going to go, but it's always ending up so beautiful. And thank you for illuminating my path and my journey, Michael. Yeah. And to each and every one of you who join us each week, it is just such an honor and such a delight, because we're all in this exploration of oneness together, and it's so wonderful to have you be a part of it with us.
So appreciative. It's wonderful. Until next week, I'm going to simply live in this world we've created for ourselves in this conversation. bringing positive meaning and light to everything.
Yeah, and I'm going to fill up my rice bowl with lots of love from Michael J. Rouse. So thank you. Thank you. So until next time, peace out. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye-bye.